I hope it's not about this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first board meeting of the City of Hot Springs for the calendar year 2019. At this time, I'd ask you all to rise and join the invocation led by Miss Hetty Lou Brooks and the Pledge of Allegiance by Director Weatherford.
Hi. I have wanted to come here before I pray to tell y'all how much I appreciate you. Now, I hold a sign and it may not be yours, but I want you to know that I appreciate you. And I pray for you, and we are so grateful that you care about our city. I had to say that. But secondly, I want to thank you for the way you honored Drew Terry. She was here 20 years supplying someone to pray. And when you honored her, it just really touched her. And I want to thank you for that. That was a very sweet, wonderful thing to do. And thank you so much. We pray. Father, tonight we need you. We love you and we honor you for who you are. And we know how weak sometimes our flesh is. And we need you to just come and empower us to keep on keeping on. To rise above everything that would distract us or take us away from the purpose to which you've called us. Father, I thank you for these men and women who faithfully watch over our city. I thank you, Father, for them. And I thank you that even as we have differences of opinion, that you're greater and that our city and our purpose is much greater. And I am so thankful that they care and that they give themselves to make Hot Springs better for all of us. Would you bless them tonight? Would you just let them know that this city appreciates them? And that as we act as a family trying to work things out, that we live for a purpose that's greater than all of the differences. Tonight, may we just find that place of love and unity, and may we accomplish the purpose for which you've called us to do. May Hot Springs continue to grow. You've done so much for us. Our city's so beautiful, and it's because of faithful people like these. So I've just come here tonight, Father, to ask you to touch them in the way that only you can, and let them know how much they are loved and appreciated. Now, Father, give them wisdom. Give them understanding. Show them the right decisions to make. Go above all of the obstacles and lead them, Father, that they may continue to serve you through making our city a wonderful, good place for all of us to live. And we pray for your presence and your protection over our city. We pray that you will continue to protect us from evil and from the ugly things that are happening in our world. Watch over us, Lord, and bring us forever into your perfect will. And we give you all the glory tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To call this meeting to order, please call the roll.
Davidson. Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Weatherford.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
McCabe.
Here. This time we'll consider the approval of the agenda. Are there any items to be added or deleted from the agenda, or items on the consent agenda you'd like to have moved to new business?
Mayor, I move the acceptance of the
A motion
agenda.
by Director Garcia to approve the minutes as presented, seconded by
Second.
Director Clark. All in favor of the motion? please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. At this time, we'll consider approval of the minutes of our regularly scheduled meeting held on December 18th, 2018. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I so move, Mayor.
Director Jones, seconded by
Becca.
Director Garcia. All in favor of approving the minutes of December 18th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. We have a proclamation to be read on Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and we'll present this to Melissa Glenn. And I've asked District 5 Director Garcia to read the proclamation. Is Melissa here? Where's...
Yeah.
She was here a minute ago. Come on forward to the podium. Director Garcia will read the proclamation.
Proclamation from the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas. Whereas human trafficking is a borderless crime against individuals that violate the most basic human rights and deprives victims of every shred of personal freedom. And whereas the United Nations International Labor Organization has estimated that at least 21 million adults and children worldwide are currently in forced labor, bonded labor, or forced prostitution, it is estimated that more people are now harmed by human trafficking worldwide than have been at any other point in human history. Whereas the City of Hot Springs and Garland County recognizes that Arkansas is not exempt from the reality and dangers of human trafficking, having Interstate 40, which is the main corridor for trafficking throughout the state of Arkansas, and whereas the City of Hot Springs and Garland County commends the work of the Human Trafficking Task Force of Garland County for its efforts to end human trafficking through education, advocacy, and assistance to survivors, and to increase coordination and visibility of Arkansas's commitment to end human trafficking. Now, therefore, Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim January 2019 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Hot Springs, Arkansas, to raise awareness about the signs and consequences of human trafficking and to promote opposition to human trafficking in all of its forms, and to encourage support for the survivors of human trafficking throughout the state of Arkansas. Signed by Mayor Pat McCabe.
Just want to say thank you. I believe it was 7 years ago that we were just sitting in that back room, a few of us, and decided to start what we call the Human Trafficking Task Force. But this is entering into our 7th year, and we're so grateful for the partnerships and the support we've had throughout the city to not only look at the issue of human trafficking, but to expand that to teen pregnancy, domestic violence, drug addiction, and work through every department in our city to be able to work together. So, and just as a side note, that there's a domestic violence shelter that just opened up today, and Angela Eccles is pretty much running that through OCC, and so we're really grateful for their work. And thank you so much for this recognition.
Thank you.
Now we'll hear from our city manager, Bill Burrough, for the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. As you know, we're closing out 2018, and with a new budget, we're very excited to be kicking off some of our 2019 projects. I've spoken with several department heads, and we're not wasting any time getting those projects up and running. One of the things I'd like to make the board aware of is the DeGray Lake water storage agreements. I was informed late last week and confirmed this week that the DeGray Lake water storage packet, which includes the water storage agreement for the City of Hot Springs as well as Central Arkansas Water, has been transmitted to the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works, R.D. James's office. So we're hoping that we get a favorable approval out of that office, and if that takes place, then the package will be transmitted back to the Vicksburg District of the Corps of Engineers for final agreements to be signed by this board and the Corps. So we're very excited about that. It's been about 5 years that we've really worked on that particular initiative, so hopefully we'll see that come to fruition within the first quarter of 2019. Next, talk a little bit about the home buyer education class that's sponsored by the CDBG program. It will be held this Saturday, January 19th, from 9:30 to 2:30 at the Transportation Depot at 100 Broadway Terrace. Eligible graduates qualify for up to $10,000 in state down payment and closing cost assistance. Lunch will be provided, but registration is required, and they can do so by calling 372-2611 or contacting our office at 321-6811, and we'll get you that information. A very good class with some good benefits. Next, Mayor, I'd like to highlight the solid waste department. Over a 2-day period, they delivered 678 residential carts to residents of the newly annexed area. We have received several comments from residents within that area, and I can tell you they have all been pleased with the number one thing that I'm hearing is their ability to have curbside recycling. The solid waste department does a phenomenal job. One of the questions I did have regarding the rollout is we still continue to have a county provider or a county contractor. We continued with that particular group to honor their commitment that the county had made with them. They have 1 year left in their contract. So though we've delivered our City of Hot Springs containers, we're going to continue to use that contractor through 2019, and then we'll begin servicing with city staff in 2020. Talked a little bit about recyclables. Recyclables were sold in 2018, totaled 2,541 tons, with a total revenue of almost $280,000. That also had some divergent tipping fees from the landfill of about $42,000. That's about half of the collection costs for running those operations. So very pleased with the results of the recycling program in 2018. And I know just from the comments I've received that our residents are very pleased with that service. And our new residents who now have curbside recycling are taking advantage of that. And we appreciate it. Little tidbit of information we learned while we were working with our engineers on our dams. And this is coming from data that we received from the Army Corps of Engineers. But the dam for Lake Bethel, the Bethel Dam, is the oldest dam in the state of Arkansas.
Wow.
Built in 1881. And Dillon, which holds Dillon Lake, was the 7th oldest. It was built in 1903. So I thought that was a very interesting tidbit of information, and appreciate those that are working on that project. And finally, Mayor, Act 235 of 2015 requires that members of the governing body elected for each city and town shall annually in January assemble and organize the governing body. And there needs to be an acknowledgement of that, and I believe our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Spicer, will read some highlights of that particular act.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This particular requirement comes to the Board of Directors. It's actually found in Arkansas Statute 1443-501. What this is a requirement, obviously, for the Board of Directors to annually meet in their first meeting in January. So this being the first meeting in January, it would be appropriate to go through some of the highlights of this particular statute and the requirements with it, and following the discussion to have the acknowledgement that this particular requirement has been met for the meeting minutes to have that accomplished. Really, I'll read just like Mr. Burrough had said a few of the highlights of it. The statute itself requires that a majority of the whole members of the governing body constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. So that's obviously something that is important to have is your quorum. The governing body itself keeps a journal of your proceedings. Those are your meeting minutes, and those are obviously kept as well. The governing body can also compel the attendance of absent members in such a manner and under such penalties as it prescribes. And also, the governing body may consider the passage of rules on a number of subjects, but for the agenda for the meetings, the filing of resolutions and ordinances, and citizen commentary. So if the board is likely aware, Hot Springs Code, that's Section 2-1-1, and that goes through Section 238. That's really where a lot of your procedural guidelines are detailed. You have a very good set of guidelines already, but if there's any type of discussion or changes that you would like, obviously you could bring those forth, and those could be discussed at a later date or even this evening if you'd like. But that concludes the discussion on the matter, and if you'd like to have an acknowledgement that the requirement to assemble and organize has been met.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, that concludes my report.
This time we'll entertain announcements from members of the Board of Directors of upcoming events. Anybody have an upcoming event you'd like the public to be aware of?
I think everybody knows about the Martin Luther King breakfast on Saturday morning.
Very good. Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to remind members in the audience as well as people at home that the Hot Springs Police Department is still taking applications for the next Citizens Police Academy, and they'll be accepting applications through January 31st, and those are on the police department's website, or you can contact the police department. And you do not have to live in the city limits to attend. There's no cost, but it is a very, very informative and meaningful academy to participate and learn what all our law enforcement is dealing with today.
Very good. Any others? Just a reminder, we have two very enjoyable 5K events coming up here in the next month and 2 months. In February, the Van Davis 5K, which is run down at Whittington Park. It's a project of National Park College and goes to a very worthy cause. So that's February 16th. And the Adam Brown Shamrock 5K is March 9th out at Lake Hamilton High School. Again, both of them are excellent events, and whether you're the fastest runner in the region or just trying to get out and have fun, it's something for everybody there. There are walkers and there are really fast runners on both of those. So very enjoyable events. So see if those work in your schedule. Van Davis on February 16th and the Adam Brown on March 9th. Any other announcements? At this time, we'll consider the consent agenda. These items are of a routine nature and do not require discussion, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Mayor, also move.
Second.
Motion by Director Foley, seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. This time we'll announce opening of a public hearing. Public hearing is to consider the vacation of certain undeveloped streets right away along Martha Lane. Public hearing is now open. Do we have any member of the audience that would like to speak on this issue? Anybody like to speak on the issue of vacating certain undeveloped street right-of-way along Martha Lane. No one coming forward. We'll close the public hearing. Thank you. We have about 6 action items tonight. The first will be consider resolution number R-1904, and that asks the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-1904, resolution approving an administrative services agreement and a business associate agreement with Qual Choice. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt. Have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Director Clark, seconded by Director Jones, and HR Director Minnie Lenox will provide the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I come before you to ask you to approve the Administrative Services Agreement and Business Associate Agreement with Qual Choice Health Insurance for the city's self-funded employee group health insurance program for the calendar year of 2019. The City of Hot Springs selected Qual Choice Health Insurance as our third-party administrator pursuant to a competitive selection process in 2017. They have served us well for 2017 and 2018, and we're asking to continue this agreement for an additional term for the calendar year 2019.
Any questions of Ms. Lennox? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we had 3 people sign up to speak on this issue. We believe it may be an error. They might have wanted to speak on another issue, and perhaps the public comment section. Ms. Westfall, did you want to speak on this issue?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, it's in the wrong.
Ms. Marin, did you want to speak on this issue?
No, wrong.
Okay. And Mr. Crawford? Okay. We'll put you on the
Right spot.
public comment. All 3 on the public comment. Thank you. Did we have anybody else that wanted to speak on this issue? Thank you. Any discussion amongst directors?
Qual Choice has done a good job for us, a really good job for us.
Very good. Please call the roll.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Weatherford,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. At this time, we'll consider Resolution R-1905 and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-1905, a resolution authorizing an agreement with American National Insurance Company, Barden Insurance Group, for certain professional services, stop-loss coverage insurance services. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, and we have Ms. Lennox again.
Thank you,
HR
Mayor.
Director.
Board. With favorable claims experience in 2018, more stop-loss carrier offers were available than in the previous years. By selecting a stop-loss carrier, it includes other factors to be considered in addition to the actual pricing. Having reimbursements received and additional things processed in a timely manner is important to our plan's cash flow. Qual Choice experienced some issues with HCC, which was our former stop-loss carrier, and they were not up to par with the standards that were set for their stop-loss partners. HCC has made some corrections in that area in regards to this. But the City of Hot Springs' favorable experience since we've been with Qual Choice in becoming our TPA had allowed for more options of the stop-loss market for the January 1, 2019 renewal. So keeping the contract terms consistent with the 2018 plan year, the fixed cost with Barden Insurance Group is $65,000 less than the HCC renewal, and the expected cost is almost $200,000 less with Barden than the renewal, and total maximum cost is $228,000 less. So by selecting the Barden Insurance Group as the stop-loss carrier for 2019, the City of Hot Springs lowers the maximum liability by approximately $445,000 over 2018. The combination of a stronger partnership between the TPA and stop-loss carrier, along with the reduced expense and claims exposure, are 2 factors to support the recommendation to change stop-loss carriers to Barden Insurance Group.
Thank you. Any questions of Ms. Lennox? Thank you.
Thank you.
We had no one sign up to speak on this issue. Any Discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Clark,
Aye.
Weatherford,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. This time we'll consider Resolution R-1906 and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-1906, resolution awarding a bid to RP Power LLC for the Kohler Switchgear and Motor Control Center for the Ouachita Water Treatment Plant. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Garcia, seconded by Director Foley. We have our project manager, Todd Pillar, to give us an overview. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. This resolution is to award a bid to RP Power out of North Little Rock for our new switchgear and MCC out at the Ouachita Water Plant. And the bids were taken on November 19th, and their bid was in the amount of $1,189,640, which was a little bit under our Christ Engineers and Brown Engineers estimate of 1.2 to 1.3 million. This is the single largest piece of this project, and the overall project is $3.5 million. And the reason that we staff and utilities and engineering decided to procure this ourselves was to save time and money. And on the money side, if we would have bid this through general contractors, we would have had overhead, profit, performance bonds, payment bonds, insurance, all that stuff stacked on top of the cost. But the more important thing is time. And from the date we write an order to RP Power for the Kohler, Wisconsin manufactured equipment, it's going to be 6 weeks till we get engineering drawings. And then after that, when it goes through engineering, utilities, both our engineering firms, and we stamp it approved, it's an additional 40 weeks for delivery. So it's 46 weeks, almost a year. And during that 40 weeks, our engineers can be designing and putting together contract documents for the installation of this equipment. Fencing, clearing, pad, wire, conduit, all that stuff will be ready. So kind of like the Pine Street Booster Pump Station, we can pick it off a truck and set it in place, and it'll be ready to go. I will mention on November 19th, there were 2 other bids other than RP Powers with the Kohler equipment, but they took many exceptions to the bid specifications. They were not considered. And as the only other thing I have to offer is that this is part of the 2018 water bond funds, which the Cozy Acres land, which you approved, is where the site, that's the picture on the screen, is the exterior with the transformers and so forth of a similar type site. Do you have the interior there? And it's quite a complex interior. It's not your grinder station you find in your backyard. So, so with that, I'll turn it over to you if you have any questions.
Thank you. Director Garcia?
I just wanted to reiterate, I believe you answered this last week, but we have been doing business with RP Power. They're a proven company for doing this type work.
Yes, ma'am. They have our annual maintenance contract for all our generators.
So they're already familiar with the Hot Springs water system and equipment.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any further questions? Not, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Weatherford,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. I will consider Resolution R-1907 and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R 1907, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 401 Albert Pike, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So move.
Director Jones. Seconded.
Second.
Director Clark. Providing a staff report is Chief Building Officer Mike Scott. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. This is an after-the-fact condemnation. The structure was substantially destroyed by fire on December 18th, 2018 at 401 Albert Pike. The debris was on the ground and part of it was in Afton Street. We notified the owner. We got consent from him in the form of a demo waiver. We notified a title company to do immediate title search on it to make sure there were no other liens or lien holders. And so then we moved forward with cleaning up the debris. In its current state now, it's all cleaned up. Also, an asbestos report was performed by the contractor. It came back clean, no asbestos. So we moved forward and we cleaned it up. And so now it's all cleaned up and done. So is there any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Scott? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, for purposes of the record, if I could, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to Resolution R 19-107, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to Ordinance 6069, 401 Albert Pike? 401 Albert Pike. There is none, Mayor.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Weatherford,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Resolution's adopted. This time we'll consider, we have last two items are ordinances, so we'll consider ordinance number 1901. And I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Got a motion by Director Foley, seconded by
Second.
Director Clark. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules, read by title only, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Council, please read by title.
Mayor, for the record, there are 5 board members present. There were 5 that voted affirmatively to suspend the rules and read by title only. Ordinance 019-01, an ordinance approving Waymaker Way Luxury Garden Homes Plan Development PD zoning and preliminary subdivision plat at approximately 1200 Lakeshore Drive, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
I so move.
Second.
Director Jones, seconded by Director Garcia. And Planning Director Kathy Sellman will provide the staff overview. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Mayor and Board, the applicant and property owner, Mr. William Thomas Harris III, seeks plan development zoning and preliminary subdivision plat approval to develop a 22-lot, single-family residential garden home development with a common area fronting a new public street. This project is to be known as Waymaker Way Luxury Garden Homes. This is on approximately 4.88 acres in the general vicinity of 1200 Lakeshore Drive. It's currently zoned to RL, Lake Area Residential, has a future land use map designation of residential suburban, and is located in Board of Directors District Number 4. There were 2 recommendations to Planning Commission on this item because there are actually 2 things being considered here. One is the change of zone to plan development, and one is a concurrent PD site plan preliminary plat to create the 22 lots and the public road. The zone change finding to Planning Commission is that the requested zone change from RL, Lake Area Residential, to PD plan development for the proposed Waymaker Way Luxury Garden Homes development on the subject property meets the standards for favorable consideration according to Hot Springs Code Section 16-247E, and all of the individual elements of that portion of the request comply. The PD site plan preliminary plat finding is that the site plan preliminary plat and other materials submitted comply with the requirements of Hot Springs Code, Section 16247, and other Hot Springs codes applicable to this review, subject to compliance with 8 conditions of approval. Planning Commission duly advertised and conducted a public hearing on December 13, 2018. Upon calling for testimony and considering the facts, Planning Commission, by a vote of 7-0, accepted the findings and recommendation of the staff report to recommend that the Board of Directors adopt an ordinance approving Waymaker Way Garden Homes PD and site plan preliminary subdivision for 22 single-family homes and common green space to be accessed by a new public street. And that concludes the presentation.
Very good. Any questions of Ms. Sellman? Director Garcia.
At the Planning Commission meeting, were there any residents of the area in opposition to this?
There were not. There were numerous people who came to the podium, mostly to ask questions, details about the concept for the development, and they seemed satisfied with the answers that they received from the applicant.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any further questions? Thank you. We had no members of the audience sign up to speak on this issue. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Foley,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Weatherford, Garcia,
Aye.
and McCabe.
Aye. Resolution, ordinance is adopted. Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance 1902, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules to read by title only.
So moved.
A motion by Director Clark, seconded by Director Foley. All in favor of suspending the rules and read by title only, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Council, please read by title.
Ordinance 01902, an ordinance vacating an undeveloped street right-of-way along Martha Lane and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
We got a motion and a second. So you're not leading this?
Oh, I can. I'll go ahead, and then if any questions, we'll call Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. This particular item, it was addressed previously in your public hearing, and you have John Rogers, B&F Engineering. He has been very involved in this particular project. The item is a proposal to vacate certain street right-of-way located along Martha Lane. This is located off of Golf Links Road. The area to be vacated is located in the Roscoe Davis subdivision. The area is approximately 635 feet in length by 30 feet in width. That particular map on your screens there demonstrates the property owner, which was the petitioner, Oaklawn Jockey Club. They are the owner of all property along this particular right-of-way. They are petitioning to have it vacated, obviously to better use the property of which they've purchased there, and the public notice that was required has ran the required 2 times prior to the public hearing, and obviously this ordinance to vacate the proposed right-of-way. And with that, that'll conclude the presentation. If there are any questions for Mr. Rogers, he's here as well.
Would you like to come forward and make any comment?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for board for entertaining this presentation. But if there's any
We have
questions,
your name and address,
John
please.
Rogers,
Yeah.
928 Airport Road, B&F Engineering. Thank you. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director Garcia?
With the public notices, did you receive any opposition?
No, ma'am, we did not. And
I haven't heard of any. I just wanted to know if you'd received any communications.
We did
Thank
not.
you.
Very good. Any other discussion amongst directors? We had no member of the audience sign up to speak on this issue. Any further comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jones?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Weatherford?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Foley?
Aye.
McCabe?
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. That concludes the action items for this evening. At this time, we'll consider Board of Directors items for discussion. Any board member have an item they'd like to discuss? Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank our city manager. He did an excellent job speaking at an event in District 5 last week, and I received very favorable feedback, I believe, from every person that attended, and then some that weren't able to attend that saw about it, and really appreciate you taking the time and explaining all of the issues going on currently in the city to a regular person's ability to understand. That was very informative and appreciated. And I also wanted to thank everyone that it was mentioned earlier about the fire last month at 401 Albert Pike, and that required a lot of work by a lot of people. And I don't think everyone appreciates every department in the city and how everybody came together and worked together. There are a lot of unsung heroes in our workforce, and I really appreciate all of them, and I know our citizens do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other directors? Director Clark.
Also, a thank you to Lance and Council Albright, Mike Scott, Walt Everton. Several city staff folks attended the first organizational meeting for the potential Washita Avenue Commercial Neighborhood Association meeting. It was held a couple of weeks ago, and had a huge turnout and really exciting potential project coming up with all that group getting together and really cooperating and becoming a good cohesive group of all the businesses that are along Washita Avenue. So really thank you all for coming. It was an early morning meeting, and you provided good support and good resources for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mayor,
Yes.
I forgot that after the breakfast, the parade is going to be on the 21st at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I guess I'll have to dress up and dress up my car. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. You know, this seems like a long time ago. It was just 2 weekends ago on Saturday, January 5th. Actually, 1 weekend ago. From this past one, January 5th, we laid to rest Pastor Douglas Jones of Union Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor Jones was very influential within the entire community, but certainly within the Pleasant Street community. Kind of a shocker for myself and the community at large. I've never seen so much love for one man. The convention center had set up for 1,288 chairs. There were about 250 some chairs short, so they brought in some more chairs, so close to 1,500 people from all across the community attended that. He was obviously very well loved and appreciated, and the only way you get 1,500 people to come to your funeral is if you touched 1,500 people or more. So he'll be dearly missed and but not forgotten. So keep his family in your thoughts and prayers. He has a wife and 2 sons, and the church itself, Union Missionary Baptist Church, will be going through transition as well. So, and then Bill, did you have we had a police, Willie McCoy passed away.
That's right, Mayor. Willie McCoy, he's also been a very influential member of our community, has done a number of things with the youth throughout our community, and almost single-handedly had the boxing team that we've had for years in Hot Springs, and that's always been a passion of Willie McCoy's. And, you know, Willie was a captain here with the Hot Springs Police Department, over a 30-year veteran. His funeral will be Saturday at 1 p.m. at St. Mark's Baptist Church, and just want his family to know that our condolences are with them and our thoughts and prayers are with them as they go through this trying time. It was another unexpected loss for our community, so our prayers are with his family.
Mr. Albright?
Mayor, I just wanted to provide a little explanation on the procedural process that was followed in connection with agenda item number 9. Which had to do with Waymaker Way luxury garden homes. Some of you in the audience and television may have been curious as to why Director Weatherford left the room. He has a business interest associated with that, which predated, the application predated his election to office and certainly his swearing in. So he did the right thing by recusing himself, not merely abstaining from voting, sitting here and perhaps influencing. He left the room. When he did, that left the board with 5 members present. By Arkansas law, in order to suspend the rules and read by title only on ordinances, we must have 2/3 to vote affirmatively to do so. So when we're left with 5 members, that means a unanimous vote, which we had. Just wanted to make sure that the board understood that, and if there was any curiosity as to why I actually said at that time, and I never do, on other occasions, that's why.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none,
Move that we adjourn for the night.
Well, we do have a public comment section. I have 3 individuals that have signed up, so you ready to adjourn? You made a motion?
Yes, sir.
You got a second?
Second.
Director Garcia seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we're going to take care of you right in a minute.
Is he leaving?
No, we're all going to be here. So, all right.